American Pop is a film by Ralph Bakshi, and it is at the same time a very interesting film and a very dull film. This is not one of my favorites, not yet, no. But I do really appreciate how it was made, how it was directed. Like, the narrative was well done. It was a very well done movie, even if some parts were slow and I did not care for them. So, what is the plot of American Pop? Well, to sum it up in the littlest of words, you could say it's a generational movie about the line of a family. And it's also about just reflecting the time periods of, each family's generation by their music, by their job choices, by how their family treats them. Yeah. It is both excellent, and the movie was said to be a jukebox musical, and I got excited about that because I just love musicals. But it didn't really complete a song in it as much as it was just like a bunch of 30 seconds of like famous songs. And yet that felt more commercial like to me than an actual musical. And while playing such songs, a lot of times the animators were like making these tripped out scenes to really like, match the tempo of the music. And to me, that was like when I first went to a graphic design class and everyone was so excited to use After Effects that they just made the flashiest, most nonsensical sort of, videos they could. That is what that felt like. Yeah. So I didn't love those parts. How is this movie animated? Well, it's done with rotoscope, and yeah, at some points the rotoscope kind of looks boring and ugly because it's so flat. And then there are moments where, the characters are doing something they love, or they're contemplating, or they're angry, and you kind of just like, I don't know, you feel something in their movements and their acting that really does draw you and make you like feel for them. It does. But then there are just like the ugliest scenes, which I think was the point of the movie, that no generation was really better than the others. Each one had problems. Might look different, but different problems. I will say that having 3-year-olds with pads everywhere you go, screens in their face for hours, isn't great, but like 25 years ago, kids in front of the TV all day isn't really great either. No. Wait. Yeah. So yeah, music is like wrapped into this very well. The characters all play music in their own way throughout the way. And it starts, with kind of a vaudeville skit and such. And in the background of it, you got like all this Favism styles. And yeah, that's really neat. And at the end, this movie was made in the 80s. So yeah, it's got an 80s vibe. And yeah, I know Jimi Hendrix was before the 80s, but you just see more stuff that's, I don't know, related to the 80s. A lot more neon, and I don't want to say leather jackets, but kind of. Oh, and the shoulder pads. Yeah. So, even though I think this movie was well made, because its characters were mostly so miserable, and because I didn't like the animated music scenes all that much, I don't care for it personally. I think it's a well made movie, but I didn't care for it personally. It did make me really appreciate rotoscoping. Even if I said I didn't like it so much, it did make me appreciate what it could be. What rotoscoping could be. I mostly think they did it in this film because, I don't know, it was easier than paying a costume designer to make the costumes for each, like, era. Yeah. I think they could have gone a little weirder with like character designs, but there is something so gritty about just seeing like regular people and their imperfect bodies and their not so pretty mouths and noses that, yeah, really grounds you to life. The dialogue in this movie, frankly, reminds me when I talk to my father, who just turned 70. It's like that. It's full of old men with glory days and regrets and, bad advice. Even though it comes from a place of caring, it's just bleh. Yeah, that this whole movie just felt like that, having a conversation with just a different generation that is separate but still kind of here. It's an odd experience. But what I was saying about rotoscoping is, I know rotoscoping and motion capture are two different things, but rotoscope is kind of like the grandparent of motion capture. And yeah, even though I describe it as boring in this, it does, the 2D effect of it, the flatness of it, is a little easier to swallow than the absolutely hideous, like, CG motion captures and a lot of animated features. Yeah. It really disappoints me how most people do not use the technology they have in a good way, but you have to break some eggs before you make something good. So, okay, yes. Who do I recommend this kind of movie to? I do recommend it to people who are like from older generations, maybe people my parents' age, basically anyone over 50. Yeah, I think they would get a lot of nostalgia from this kind of movie. I do. Do I think they would all love the style of it and the mood of it? Every person is different, but I definitely think it's good for nostalgia. Animation fans? Absolutely. Yeah, even if I was like over, like, too much was going on in my face and my head, and yet I was still bored. Still, yeah. The direction of it, the views of it, the choices made with like where the camera went, those were all really, really good. For just any old moviegoer, you have to be in the mood. Like, sometimes I am in the mood for like the style of how certain like genres or time periods do like film their movies, and the kind of like, dialogue that certain time periods have. I do appreciate that. And this movie had that, which is, yeah, why it's not a complete dud, why I can't say I hate it. I'm just going to say that there are points where it gets slow and you kind of lose it. Watching a second time is a little better because, I don't know, you know what to expect, of course, and yeah, you just can appreciate what it is better than trying to find out what is going to happen. Because what is going to happen is amazing and also mundane at the same time. Amazing. Just amazing in that way. So, American Pop. Yeah, I watched you. Like, technically a second time, but to be honest, I wasn't, like, full paying attention, so I don't think it really counts. But I think I would watch you again, but with other people and a different audience, because I think then I could appreciate it more. So, that's just my opinion.